Barbie, the toy. Yes, the toy doll finally got her own movie that just came out, and we're gonna grade it. But before we do that, we gotta review it. And before I hop into that, if there's a movie you want me to do, let me know. Please put in the comment section below, and I get to the best I can. Also have Patreon/Zakka for $2 a month. You can cut in front of everybody, get your review out way before it comes out on Facebook and YouTube. Now let's go and get in 2023's Barbie. Now, what is Barbie about? Barbie is about the doll who lives in Barbie world, and she's starting to have a crisis of identity, pretty much. She's trying to figure out who she is. She's no longer been the Barbie that she once known, and she's going on this mission to pretty much solve this issue and why this crisis is happening. Now, this will have some spoilers in here, but not heavy, so it's not gonna ruin the movie for you. But what the theme of the movie is, this movie is a movie about womanhood, identity, stereotypes, manhood, the patriarchy, feminism. This movie's about all of that wrapped into this one movie. It's at points in time where you watching it, you're like, okay, it's on brand. We're getting the cartoonish, over top drama, Barbie, pink, everything, all this, and then you get into the real world where Barbie learns that wait a minute, this is not what life is about. I thought we fixed, she literally said we thought we ended all the problems, thought we saved the world, and women has equal rights everywhere. And then she gets to the real world and she's like, why are men, looking at women as objects? Or why do men why there's no women in power and CEOs and business? How come there's no female CEOs in certain spots of, Los Angeles? And she's like, what's going on here? But back in, Barbie land, all positions of power are all held by women. All the positions of power are held by women. But then you have Ken, who he just wants to be seen by Barbie. He's like, I want to be seen by Barbie. I am Barbie's boyfriend. This is my identity. This is who I should be. And Barbie is not, reflecting or not giving back that same affection, because Barbie's like, you're Ken. I don't, you're Ken. You're not really much anything to me. And Ken's like, well, I want to be appreciative. I'll show his affection, but Barbie doesn't give it back to me. So he goes to the real world and he sees what patriarchy is, and he's like, establish the patriarchy. So he takes all the stuff he learned about, men are considered, are considered the one who run the world in the real world. So then he goes and take that back to Barbie land, which then has a conflict where Barbie and Ken are pretty much kind of in a fight for who runs Barbie world. And Barbie pretty much is like, no, it's not just, Ken, you're your own person. You don't have to do all this just for me. And women, we own Barbie world, and we are in power, but we got to put it back to its natural state. Ken, it's okay. You be your own person. Y'all want to have a seat at the table, y'all can. It's almost like a movie where it talks about what real life is, in a sense. Ken is doing it, and it also brings up about relationships too, and that's another thing that I'm talking about here. But Ken just wants to be seen and appreciative. In the beginning of the movie, it literally says Ken wants to be seen by Barbie, but Barbie doesn't look at Ken in that way at all. So it's a guy chasing a girl who wants to be seen by a girl, so he goes out and tries to do all these things, gain power, do this, do that, to order to become, worthy in the eyes of Barbie. And then he gets jaded, and then he becomes a jerk because of it. But Barbie's like, no, Ken, you don't have to be my girlfriend. You don't have to be my boyfriend. That's not who you are. And Ken's like, I am Barbie. It's Ken and Barbie. Or she says Barbie and Ken. She's like, no, maybe it's Barbie and it's Ken, not together. And I like that topic on it. And then also America Ferrera has a scene in this movie that is so powerful about the things women go through and the things women do, and the things where women if they do one thing, they get contradicted by doing this. They do one thing, they get contradicted by doing that. They do this, they can't do this, and do this. And it's a really powerful scene where I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. And this movie just brings a lot of thought to the forefront, that you didn't expect. Going into this movie, I had no idea what this movie was going to be about. None whatsoever. And then I sat and watched it, and I was like, wow, okay. wow, I find myself enjoying the movie. Now, are there some comedy bits in here? Yes, there are comedy bits in here. Is the movie like laugh out aloud, hilariously funny? No, there's times where I just didn't find it funny. But there's times where yeah, I chuckled and had a good time. But there's a lot of times in the movie where I was like, oh my gosh, this is happening. Jaw dropped, like mouth agape, looking at like, what am I watching right now? But there's times where I'm like, this movie is great. I love this movie. Another thing about this movie, I would say the actors and actresses are going 110% in, and the costume design and set pieces are done really well. Like, it is definitely a well-made movie that was made with care and made with the want to make a statement. It's PG-13, but I don't think kids really get the grasp of this movie. It's going to take, an older, maybe teenager or somebody in maybe middle school or teenagers to get and above to really understand what this movie is trying to say and the message and delivery it's trying to give, because it's a very powerful message. You have, women's rights. You have women saying, hey, we're equals and we want to be just us. And we want to be humans. And we don't want to be considered as objects. We don't want to be oppressed and don't want to be put down. We want to be able to have a seat at the table. We want to be able to not just have a seat, but also be able to run the table at certain times. But at times we also be a mother and caring. But if we contradict a man on it, we're complaining. But at the same time, now I get that. And then I also see the side of Ken in this movie where Ken's like, I want to be appreciative. I want to be shown. I want the girl of my dreams. The girl of my dreams don't want me, so I'm going to try to do these things to get power, to be like an equal in her eyes. Be like, hey, this is who I am. You should accept me. And then she's like, at the end of the movie, I don't want to accept you. And you got to be comfortable, like, okay, I'm okay with not being with the love of my life. I'm okay with being myself and don't have to be a jerk. Don't have to take over to prove that I have, power, or prove that I'm a man, or prove I'm this. I can just be me. I'm Ken enough. Love it. Love it. This movie is a powerful movie. I love this movie. Will everybody love this movie? I don't think so. I don't think everybody's going to feel the same way. I think people who get to the point where they see the true message of the movie might find themselves like turned off by it. But at the same time, don't be turned off by this movie. It's definitely a good movie, and definitely a different twist on Barbie, and it's something I was expecting. But you're going to this movie expecting this hilarious, over-the-top rom-com or this outrageous, like what I'm watching party movie. You're not going to get that. It's not that kind of movie. It's a more serious movie than what is portrayed by the trailers and portrayed by media. All right, let's go and get to cast, actors, and details and directors. So the movie is directed by Greta Gerwig, and the writers are Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach. The movie had a budget of $100 million estimate, and right now at the time of this recording is at $70,500,000 at this weekend. So this is right now opening weekend. The cast of Margaret Robbie as Barbie. Margaret Robbie is great as Barbie, and it's actually the scene where the narrator goes, it's about a certain scene and the narrator goes like, you know what, the director and casting should have picked somebody not as attractive as Margaret Robbie for this to stick, but we're trying to go with this. But Margaret Robbie is amazing. She's great. She knocks it out the park. She does so many positions, like so many characters well, from Harley Quinn to Barbie to About Time, I believe the name of the movie's called. But like Margaret Robbie is just solid. She's great in this movie. Great from a character who kind of ditzy, I run everything kind of thing, to like this is a perfect world, to a character like I don't know how I should feel these emotions. What should I go with this? Margaret Robbie performance in the movie is top tier. Ryan Gosling, who played Ken, he was another top tier character. Like Ken was a guy, like I said, who really wanted the attraction, affection of Barbie, and he couldn't get that. And you can see in the time of the movie where he was like, hey, we should do this. She's like, no, it's girls' night. And Ken goes, you feel that hurt for somebody who wants somebody and they don't return that same affection and then go out and do these things. It reminded me of the movie Social Network, where granted it's not like the actual story of Mark Zuckerberg, but Mark Zuckerberg makes Facebook after the fact that a girl, rejects him for the fact that he's kind of a jerk. So he goes to make Facebook, and then Facebook takes off, and at the end of the movie, he sends a friend request to the girl, and she never, accept the friend's request, and he just keeps clicking repeat. It's like he did all this in a sense to get that girl, and then it's the same storyline where the dude is doing all this to try to impress and get the girl at the end of the day. And I love how, like, no, he doesn't get the girl. There's a lesson for him to learn, and I love that Ryan Gosling bring that character Ken, that arrogance, and that also like that. Not self-loathing, but that feeling of like, I want to be loved. I want to be earned. I want to be somebody. I don't want to be second fiddle. I want to be your equal kind of character. And then kind of like, I love how Ken is brought to life in this sense that at certain times, this movie is generally a Ken and Barbie movie. And you're looking at it like, okay, well, this movie is more about Ken, and there's a thing about Barbie. But it's mostly like, at one point, like, it's like Ken. But Ken's the antagonist of Barbie in this movie. You have Kate McKinnon, who played Barbie, Weirdo Barbie. Great. She is goofy. She is over the top, and she's serious as well. And I just love Kate McKinnon's delivery of her version of Barbie in this movie. Issa Rae, who plays President Barbie, she was cool. She was fun in this movie. Good work from her. Michael Cera as Alan. He was good too. He brought some little bit of comedic chops to his movie, and just kind of like, I don't want to be, another guy just sitting here. He was cool. He was a unique character. Simu Liu, I can't always say his name here. Simu Liu as other Ken. He was cool too. He was another like just antagonist to Ken, to Ryan Gosling Ken. He was fine. Will Ferrell as the CEO of Mattel. Will Ferrell was funny. I enjoyed Will Ferrell as far as like his speaking parts. He wasn't like much of a speaker in this movie, like as far as like Will Ferrell funny line delivery, but the stuff he was doing as like Will Ferrell was more like, I'm trying to think like Elf Will Ferrell. Like he would do things where you're like, come on, you don't have, you're adult, you got this. Come on, think this through. Like it's more of the movements Will Ferrell did in this movie versus the actual like dialogue he is given. There's like a chase scene with Will Ferrell, and then I was like, they're doing it so cartoony right now. They're in the real world, and it was funny. I cracked up and chuckled a little bit, and then like his executives with him who was following him around, it was just like, this movie is goofy. It is goofy. Ariana Greenblatt, who plays Sasha, she was like the kid who was like the anti-Barbie kid who was like, she's in high school, but she's like, I'm too, real to play with Barbies, and Barbie's this, and she like goes in it. As I've seen this movie where she goes in on Barbie and that character of like anti-establishment character, she does a good job portraying that character in this movie. And America Ferrera as Gloria, I thought was phenomenal, and the scene she gets in this movie where she gives a dialogue and a speech was freaking amazing. To the point where I was like, hell yeah. Like I was like not clapping in the theater, but I was just like, yes, I get it. I know where the writer's going with this, and she's delivering every bit of line dialogue with the passion it should be delivered with. She was a great character, and I thought she was a different voice to the movie that, we didn't get in other movies. I think she was fine as well, and I loved her in this movie. Any other thoughts? I like how the movie ended. It was a different ending in the movie. It probably ended a little weird, but I like how they wrapped everything up. There's certain parts of this movie that characters you kind of forget about here and there. And you're like, okay, when is this character gonna come up? Because there's a lot of things happening. You have the Ken arc, the CEO arc, you have the Barbie arc, and you have Gloria arc, the mom and daughter arc. Like, okay, how are we wrapping all this up? And some of it kind of gets it just ties up, another one just kind of pops up and like we tie it up, and then the main arc with Ken ties up, and Barbie has her finished arc. And it was a moment of just like, be yourself kind of arc at the end of the movie that I thought was cool. I still didn't know how this movie was going to end, and then when it ended the way it did, I was like, okay, sure, we're going with this. Yeah, for the most part, it was fine. The music in this movie, the music was okay. Like, I didn't really like the licensed music, not really a thing for me. But then you listen to the music at certain points in time, it's not just licensed music. It's actually like the lyrics of the movie happening and portraying itself out, and you're like, okay, so the narrator and the music going on is actually a part of the movie itself. It's not just they threw on Green Day because it's Green Day. And then there's certain times where Ken has his own stuff, and you're like, okay, what you think, would be hardcore man stuff in this movie. I thought it was fine. There's a throwaway line for Justice League in this movie that was like, oh, excuse me. But other than that, I was fine. I enjoyed this movie. I had a good time. Is this a movie you should see in theaters? Yeah, I think I'll watch it in theaters. I think this is a movie that everybody should at least watch and give it a shot and grade time. I'm going to grade Barbie from 2023. I'm going to give this movie an A-. It gets an A- for me, a 90%. It's a good movie. I really had a good time with it. The Will Ferrell character probably what got me a little bit like on the A- side, not an A side, because his character arc there, but it's still all the actors and actresses going 110% in it. The storyline in this movie was great, and what the story they're trying to tell, and give me a good story. I'm a sucker for a good story. So you got a good story in here that's not just like popcorn delusion. It actually made me think for something that was, at the beginning of the movie was a pop culture reference with 2001 Odyssey opening up, and you're like, that's a pop culture reference. The 2001 Odyssey soundtrack playing, and the girl with the doll destroying the baby doll and picking up Barbie. Like, it's like, okay, we're rolling. And then like the whole backstory of Barbie. Get that, all that stuff going on, but when it comes down to the end of it, what this movie was about identity and stereotypes and womanhood and manhood and patriarchy and feminism and relationships, I thought it was great. I thought this movie was solid. I think it delivered on what it wanted to go with, and I loved it. So I give this movie, I'm gonna give this movie an A-. It gets a 90% because not all of it was really like Will Ferrell was kind of just there, and he probably one part of the movie like where he go. Also, he pops up and like, okay, we're done. This is my plot. And you're like, so yeah, 90%. It gets an A-. IMDb gives this movie a 7.7 out of 10. That is a C+. And Rotten Tomatoes give this movie a 90%, and the audience give this movie as well a 90%. So I'm right there with everybody when it comes down to it on Barbie. IMDb just gave it a 7.7. If you guys seen Barbie from 2023, what do you guys think? Please put in the comment section below. Other than that, see you guys in the next episode of Movie Breakdowns, and keep being awesome. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I really appreciate that. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. If there's a review you want me to watch or do, let me know. Please put it in the comment section below this video. Also, you want to watch the last episode of Movie Breakdowns, it's right there. Just gotta click on it and you'll be able to watch it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Love y'all, and keep being awesome.